Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to the channel. This is the Blue Dragon bringing you the monthly Q&A, brought in turn to us by none other than my patrons at the $10 level or higher. Patrons get first dibs on all the questions for the monthly Q&As. And in lieu of that, if I have time, I also cover questions from readers and viewers like you. So thank you. We're going to jump right into this, but really quickly. My videos target an adult audience. No minors, please. Same for my comics. They're not safe for work. Also, don't like ads on your videos. Consider getting a free ad blocker. I use uBlock, but there are other options that exist. Just make sure that you do your research before you download anything as a PSA. Now, let's get into the video. First question. When the characters' powers awaken, where is it that they go? What is happening? So, I gotta get into a little bit of detail here, and I'm going to use page examples. Some of these pages are going to be redrawn, by the way, especially the ones of Rin. Those are old. I need to redo them. So the characters in the story, they're just starting to awaken their soul power, so to speak. And I am aware that there's a bit of a disconnect between what us, the readers, are seeing as we follow what each character is experiencing versus what the other characters in the story are seeing. So for instance, when Rin had her awakening, we follow her along with her experience and see this wide open space with the giant dragon being thing. And when we're brought back into quote-unquote reality, we see Yuli's holding her up and the others have gathered around her because she's passed out because she almost died. That's going to be a running gag in the story, by the way. But I bring that up to point out that their bodies aren't actually going anywhere. Even Yuli, his body stayed in place after he had materialized the giant foxglove, which is significant to him and his storyline. His body was still inside there the whole time and did not move an inch. So what's actually happening when we're visualizing this weird place that's, either really colorful with Kana's power, which is kind of light, it's a light derivative, or with Arena, with the water, or with Yuli and the plants and the trees and the forest. What we're seeing is, within the characters' souls, things that are representative of them. We're seeing them within their self, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense. So anytime I'm dealing with what's going on with the soul, I do draw the character nude. In Act 4, for instance, we're seeing Kana having this back and forth with Keisuma, and whereas she walks in the door of their apartment, of her and Rina's apartment, wearing her uniform, anytime she's having this conversation, it's all within her quote-unquote head. It's her soul duking it out with the influence of Keisuma. So it's not just that I'm forgetting to draw her clothes, although shit like that I'm sure has happened. I've forgotten to draw her fucking, not her crucifix, the prayer beads. Fuck. I'm having a brain fart. I smoke too much, you guys. But I have forgotten to draw her rosary. That's it. I have forgotten to draw her rosary before, but in this instance, I am intentionally having that specifically flip between her having her uniform on and being nude, because the stuff that is in the nude is within herself. It's the purest form of her being. In this story, when things like this are being visualized, to me, it's you being stripped of all the Word of Wednesday, tawdry vestiges that we swathe ourselves in. What you see is within the realm of the soul. It's only ourselves. They're ourselves in the purest form. There's no stupid fucking clothes. It's just you. It's just you in your purest form. Can I say that fucking 20 times more? I don't know, maybe. But yeah, anyway, long story short, they themselves, their physical body doesn't go anywhere. We're just seeing them in the spiritual realm, in that realm of existence. I hope that makes sense. If you want to know more, if you're totally new to the channel, you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, Up in the upper right hand corner is a playlist where I talk about magic within Dark Horse, how it works. I don't want to like explain things away because then it takes the fun out of it. We all know which stories have done that before. But it gives you an idea of why I keep talking about the soul, because that is a form of magic in this story. So, more detail in those videos. Eventually this will come up in the story, but it's a really fucking long story, you guys. We're in it for the long haul. And I am trying to work on pacing, but we're gonna get bits and pieces of it here and there, but I'm not just going to I do these Q&As because it would be very out of place and weird to just have somebody exposit all this bullshit within the story, if that makes sense. Next up, why do they come out of that state with new clothes on? So speaking about nudity, now we're going to talk about the gaudy clothes. Because it's a magical people comic, and I want to dress them in fancy clothes, that's why. Okay, that's the literal reason. But within the story, there's a reason too. It's tied to the awakening of their powers. Again, watch those other videos for refreshers or if you want to know more about it. But the magic, the short answer is when you have an awakening of that magnitude, accessing their soul power in that manner, that energy is so powerful. It's such a powerful burst that it disintegrates their outer clothing, and then that energy manifests into a new material. Fun. The most ridiculous explanation, but I don't care. I have a reason, and that's the reason. It's not to disguise themselves. You always can fucking tell Sailor Moon is fucking Serena, or if you're reading the Japanese, you know it's Usagi, so it's not at all to disguise them. Nothing to do with the disguise. But yeah, fun little tidbit, that manifestation of clothing they find themselves in is based on their idealized fashion preference. Kind of. What I mean is, we may possibly see a wardrobe change at some point in the future as they become more aware of what's going on. But case in point, when we see Kana, who is a Caucasian American, she's Polish American, I can't remember what all she's got in her, but she is white, but she manifests her clothing to be a kimono, while Rin, who is like part Japanese, her grandparents are from Japan. Her dad's side is not, her mom's side is, but she's not wearing the kimono. When I start up ceremony, I make it a point to have Kana's mom make mention of how Kana always wanted a kimono, and the reason for this is because she really likes that fashion sense. She'd seen family photos hanging around Rin's house, and she always liked it, so she kind of got fascinated with that type of fashion. She also has made a couple offhanded, very inappropriate comments that people often do when they're not familiar with the culture, like assuming Rin knows karate when she knows she doesn't. That was way back in Act 2 of the revamp. But on the other hand, Rin, she's so used to kimonos and stuff like that. I mean, she's not like really deep in her own family's culture, but you know, it's nothing exotic to her. It's just, you know, hey, that's what the fucking grandparents wear sometimes. You know, so when she transforms, her clothing is more of a mishmash of like fantasy, the Western idea of what some Middle Eastern and East Indian clothes look like. Now I say Western because she is an American. Again, she's fairly detached from her Japanese relatives. Like, she knows a little bit, but she's really just an American girl. So it's not, she's seeing things through the lens of an American more so than, you know, someone from the East. Yuli is big into reading about various histories, but he kind of likes a combination of Chinese and fantasy inspired fashion, so that's why his outfit kind of looks reminiscent of possibly, I mean, there's really no, you can't really pinpoint the culture because none of it is culturally accurate, because none of these characters come from the culture that is influencing their clothes. Though Kana's is, of course, the closest, whereas the other two that we've seen so far are kind of basing things slightly into the realm of fantasy because they're big into that genre of books and art. Kana is, her kimono is the closest because she studied it very closely because she's always kind of envious of that, if that makes sense. So that's the deal with the clothes. Next question. Where are the transformation sequences? This is a magical girl, boy, people comic. Where I want my transformations. No one has put it like that. But I'm just having a bit of fun. The answer is they are coming. They have their awakening first because I want to set up the dragon people. They're not going to be in the story until several series down the way. But I have to plan this out a bit, you guys, just a little bit. But they kickstart their powers first, and don't worry, they are going to have transformation sequences in the comic. Those are coming. Last question. What is the Crystal Lotus? And I don't know if I got that question before or not. I might have, but I'm got it again, and I'm sorry, I gotta cop out here. I absolutely cannot answer any questions about them, or we're getting into major spoiler territory. I do not feel comfortable talking about the Crystal Lotus itself, just because I could fuck up. So, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. But there is going to be an answer for it, because this Dark Horse is just the first part of the Crystal Lotus Chronicles. So, the whole fucking Chronicles is named after it. You're gonna get the answer. I promise. Just not yet. That's all for this month. This year, holy shit! It's finally the end of the year. God damn it. Next week, we've got a video coming up, the year in review. I'm going to talk about last year's goals. I did videos like this earlier this year, so I'm going to do the same thing in 2021. First video is going to be the old goals and reviewing what I actually got done, because all of this is thanks to you guys helping me out, keeping me on track. This is going out to my viewers and readers and patrons, of course, patrons. I like to go over what's been accomplished and kind of keep you all in the loop on what the goals are going to be in the future. So the video following that is going to be the goals for 2021. Question of the week: what would you pick to wear, if anything at all, if you had the power to transform? Leave your answers below. Me? I don't know. I love the way saris look. If you couldn't tell, I really love just I love learning about India. I love a lot of the fashions, the art, the history, the culture. It's just very, very beautiful to me. So if I could do it without being insulting to anyone, totally a sari. That's what I would pick. Or in reality, most likely, if nobody gave a shit about anything, I would probably just go naked. I hate having clothes on for too long. I go from a sari, which is tons of clothing. Well, not tons, but a couple pieces of clothing, to nothing. There's no middle ground, you guys. Anyway, TMI, well, that's my answers. Anyhow, peace and love. Fare you well, and keep on trucking.